Alright, so up next we've got a couple of practice problems here. So let's go ahead and go over those practice problems. So our first problem here, we need to graph our inequality y is greater than or equal to 3x plus 1. So to start out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to very lightly, as light as I can on this graph, I'm going to graph the point, or graph the line y equals 3x plus 1. And I remember when I'm graphing a line, I'm going to start at my y-intercept, which is my plus 1. So I'm going to put on the y-axis, I'm going to have plus 1. And then I'm going to use my slope. My slope is 3. In order to create directions to find my next point. So I'm going to turn my directions into a fraction, 3 over 1. So that tells me I'm going to go up 3 to the right 1. So I've got my line there. Now, with slope, I don't have to just go up 3 and right 1. I can go the opposite direction too, which means I could go down 3 and left 1. And I'm going to do that so that way I can find all of these perfect points. Now I want to find all of those perfect points, so when I'm drawing my line, I can try and make it as accurate as possible. You can use a ruler in order to make sure that that is as straight as possible, the edge of a dry erase board, whatever you might have that's straight in order to help you draw that line. So now we've graphed our line y equals 3x plus 1. However, we're not trying to graph y equals 3x plus 1. We're trying to graph y is greater than or equal to 3x plus 1. So that means that I need to use my other color here, or a really dark pencil, in order to draw this line. So looking at my inequality symbols, I can see that I have a greater than or equal to symbol, which means that I'm going to be drawing a solid line that is and I'm going to do the shading above. So if I'm going to draw a solid line, I'm going to go right over that one that I just drew, nice and bold, with arrows on both ends, to indicate that that line is part of the solution. And then I need to do my shading above the line. Now, sometimes when these lines are really diagonal, or really steep, it can be sometimes a little difficult to see which one's above. So the easiest way that I found is just start at the y-axis, go above, go straight up, and then we can say, all right, this is the section. So we're going to shade this section here, everything above that line, even though it looks like it might be to the left of the line, it is above the line. So now we've graphed our inequality. Y is greater than or equal to 3x plus 1. Now let's go ahead and graph number 2 together, and then you can do 3 and 4 on your own. So we'll go ahead and once again start by graphing our line. So we're going to write our inequality as though it is an equation. Y equals negative 3/5 x minus 4. So if we're going to graph this equation here, we're going to first start with our y-intercept at negative 4. Now we're going to use our slope here. Our slope is equal to negative 3 over 5. So that means I'm going to go down 3 to the right 5, but I'm not really able to do that here because it goes off the graph. So I'm going to have to go the other direction. I'm going to go up 3 and to the left 5. So I'm going to find my second point there. Now let's go ahead and connect those together. And hopefully you can draw a line a little bit better than mine because you've got a ruler. And now we're going to go ahead and move into our inequality. So our equation was y equals negative 3/5 x minus 4, but we need to do y equals less than negative 3/5 x minus 4. So I can see that if I have a less than symbol, I'm going to be using a dashed line, and that dashed line is going to be shaded below it. So let's go ahead and draw that dashed line. So I've got an arrow on both ends of my line to show that that line goes on and on forever. And then we've got a dashed line right on top of here. So once again, we'll use a nice big bold pen or something else to really make this stand out above that solid line that I lightly drew in there. So we've got that dashed line, and then we're going to shade below it. So we're shading below here. So let's go ahead and shade below. We've got all of the area below that shaded.